A very good afternoon to all. Thank you so much for the introduction there. And thanks for the wonderful opportunity to present myself in 7th Annual Convention and National Conference of National Academy of Veterinary Nutrition and Animal Welfare. So I would like to start my presentation with a disclaimer of that I'm not an animal nutritionist. So please bear with me. But I just wanted to present whatever the experience I gathered so far in the last 20 plus years of my experience. So this I just wanted to talk since it's very hard to sit after a fantastic lunch. So I thought I can just show some videos of Karnataka special. And this month, as you all know, that is celebrated as Wildlife Week in the month of October 2 to 8. And I really wanted to just show you this on this year, with events focused on biodiversity conservation and human-wildlife coexistence is the theme. And this is the magnificent animals which are very much found and then documented in the state of Karnataka. There is a slow flute music behind it, but there is no audio. It's all right. So I would like to start my sincere gratitude to all my teachers and mentors, and we always work with the different forest departments of respective states. So UP, KFD, and Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Tamil Nadu Forest Department. And I would like to extend my gratitude to co-founders of Wildlife SOS, and Dr. Raghavendra Bhatta sir was instrumental in my nutritional studies in the past during my PhD. And Dr. Sajjan sir was my guide and mentor for my PhD study, and Dr. Rajendran was thankfully invited and then presented this welfare-based lecture, and all my wildlife veterinarians and biologist team of Wildlife SOS, and last but not least, all animal care staff. So, and also I would like to dedicate this presentation to late Dr. Asit Das, and then it was very unfortunate, and he being an animal nutritionist probably ignored self-nutritional care. And I always feel that nutritional well-being of people are very important. I mean, we all are a learned community and scientists, but many of us are not giving importance to our nutritional well-being. So I strongly believe emotional well-being is directly connected with the nutritional well-being, and his contributions, you all know, that is a very renowned nutritionist and contributed a lot to wildlife nutrition. And by mentioning that, I was very fortunate that I actually worked under Sir in the very famous ICAR booklet series, Nutrient Requirements of Animals, the second edition in 2024, under the chairmanship of Dr. K. Pradhan, former VC, OUAT Bhubaneswar, and under the editorial committee chairman of Dr. Raghavendra Bhatta. And it came up very well, and it was a separate book as a second edition published by our team. And as we all wonder that how can we contribute anything in the nutrition of free-ranging wild animals, because the title says both wild as well as captive animals. So the point I would like to mention here is, even in the wild, the current observations, and we have done studies in different parts of the country, starting from J&K to Karnataka, and many of the wild animals are just getting into the human dwelling areas, and then they were feeding on all these trashes, and then they are now straying out, either because of the malnourishment inside, or habitat fragmentation, or sometimes even the easy digestible carb. So I think the nutritionist point of view is very important here, to initiate some kind of studies by collecting data, so that we can definitely contribute and find out. And there are a lot of disturbance. When on the other side you can see the brown bears in J&K was getting into a lot of trash, and then started eating hotel waste, especially biryani waste. So they always come back, and they won't even bother about people. Probably around 50 to 100 meters they are staying, and not bothered even about the vehicle or people watching or taking pictures. And then they were just munching on these food waste. So that actually, when we were studying them after radio collaring them for almost a year, and we found a lot of behavioral issues happening, and it's just because of these nutritional issues, because their hibernation gets affected, and they are not following the proper cycle of winter sleep. So that creates a lot of issues, and then they're genetically getting modified, and because their offsprings are again very prone for a lot of diseases, because these food is really contaminated, and then they can get a lot of infection through this. So at the same time, even the wild animals, you can see the elephants are coming out, and then started munching on all these trashes. So then the wildlife husbandry. So that was the wild or free-ranging part, that we need not think that it is not possible for us to contribute, because naturally they know how to live and then what to eat, and there is adequate resources in the wild. But it is definitely not true, because we can always come up with a lot of nutritional based study designs, and then we can utilize any of the forest department people, or even the academic side. They can always initiate such kind of research programs under the forest department, and they are very well welcome to give the permissions, and it is possible for even ICR can take up such kind of initiative. And as we all know that in wildlife husbandry practices, animal nutrition plays a major role, and it is very much connected with welfare and health. And the major challenge of any wildlife veterinarian is to deal with multiple species. So I used to tell, we are jack of all trade and master in none. So it is very important for the species specific nutrition, or even feeding practices has to be standardized. And Dr. Azid Das sir actually initiated a lot of such programs, and he was one of the important consultant of Central Zoo Authority to design a lot of nutritional standards and schedules for zoo animals. And the influencing factors are their species ecology, because you know that carnivore, omnivore, herbivore has got difference of their nutritional need, and age and physiological state, whether they are young one or infant or subadult, juvenile, adult, or pregnant animal or lactating animal, they have difference of their nutritional need. And environmental condition, high altitude or even low altitude animals, and activity level, as we know that in the enclosure, some of them are very put in very restricted enclosures, so their size and activity level will be depending on their enclosure size, and at the same time the nutritional requirement, or even the energy expenditure. And their dental status, many of them, the wear and tear of their tooth, and they're not able to digest, or even assimilation of the nutrient won't happen. And because of that, we have to ensure that we follow some of the geriatric care for these elderly animals. And as we all know that India's unique context with extraordinary biodiversity, persistent human-wildlife conflict, the resources are always limited. And veterinary professionals face distinct challenges requiring innovative solutions. And there are some key technologies, as Dr. Jayakumar sir was also mentioning very nicely about AI-driven diet optimization, remote monitoring systems, and predictive health models, data-driven decision making. So all those things are still in the academic side. So if we can implement or try to at least take up some project in the field of wildlife, then definitely we can make a lot of wonders. And this wildlife under human care represents a dynamic interface between nature and veterinary science, and the scientific animal care integrates nutrition and clinical medicine and behavioral enrichment. So these are highly interconnected, and we can always say that the species-specific diet makes the disease prevention and monitoring very easy, and the behavioral enrichment or the psychological well-being of the animal in any captive facility is very paramount important, and that is again directly related to the nutritional status of the animal. And in captive management, goal is to maintain the physiologically normalcy, behavioral integrity, and reproductive viability. So these three major points has to be kept as a goal in any captive management system. And sir was again mentioning the same. The welfare standards are very common for both domestic animal as well as the wild animals. We can consider this as an indicator of welfare for captive wild animals. So the first freedom is freedom from hunger and thirst, and the second one is freedom from malnourishment, and the third one is freedom from discomfort, disease and injury, and to express normal or natural behavior, and freedom to distress and fear. So these are the major welfare concern, and then we need to make sure that we are addressing all these 5 freedoms in the captive animal facility. And you can see this was a living example of a carbet captive elephant, and you can see the very bad conformation of the animal just because of nutritional imbalance. And though there are connected hormonal imbalances, but it was primarily because of malnourishment, and as you all know that it affects the longevity and disease prevention, growth and reproduction. And the captive diet rarely replicate natural food, because as we all know that we have a lot of challenges in getting the natural diet replicating into the captive condition. So there are a lot of practical difficulties to incorporate such kind of modalities, but still we need to work on that and then ensure that the nutritional supplements of both macro and micronutrients are addressed. And you can see this food composition and nutritional management. As we all know that this dry matter, water, I don't want to get into this detail, but this is very common in both these animals. The only practicality is collecting the data, and then knowing much internal or even continuous data from these wild animals are really challenging. But other than that, as you know that carnivore, herbivore, omnivore, and reptiles and avifauna needs different nutritional requirements, and at the same time we need to ensure all these nutritional requirements are fulfilled based on the scientific approach. And as I already said, free-ranging animal has got a different, the space utilization. Their home range is around 48 square kilometers, whereas in captivity it will be hardly few square meters. So you can always imagine that what was happening in the natural environment, and whereas if you want to simulate any of these natural environment into the captive condition, we customize according to our managemental preferences. And feeding as per the growth of an elephant. So you can always see that though we follow 5% of the body weight is their natural requirement of the per day feeding requirement, but still there is a established scientific fact that the height of the elephant is judging their amount of food or fodder they need per day. So this is a thumb rule of captive animal nutritional management, and we create, the individual zoos, they have their own customized way of feeding them both fodders and the regular concentrated feed, something like this. And fruits will always be a part of the diet, because as I said that there are a lot of nutritional components are there. As we can see that this natural diet are low in fat, but rich in bioactive components like formic acid and propolis. Especially for sloth bears, we used to add honey and ants and termites because they are naturally insect eaters. And lack of natural components in captive diets may increase risk of malignant tumors. We have actually documented many such malignant tumors just because of such kind of poor natural components in their regular feed, like even selenium, magnesium, vitamin B17 for their better lifespan. And feeding practices, we again customized several feeding practices in case of rescued sloth bears. This is the daily diet regimen of a sloth bear, and we have actually over the years collected a lot of data on their regular body weight so that the species specific balanced diet can be initiated. And this body weight is very important component. Only then we can understand whether the nutritional schedule or even the feeding schedule is as per the requirement of the species. And even for all the judgment of medications or anesthesia, everything is based on that. And on the other side, we even generated such kind of body conditioning score, which we always deal and then make sure that they are on the ideal body weight. And the challenges are actually the limited natural feed resources and generic formulations. We don't have any such formulations available in wild animals, and seasonal variations because they always lack certain minerals or even micronutrients in specific seasonally available food items, and nutrient degradation when it happens by providing stored food for any species in the zoo animals. And common nutritional challenges, as you all know, that overnutrition causes obesity, and deficiency causes, fiber deficiency causes constipation or colic. Imbalanced minerals, again, bone deformity and lameness. You can see many of these samples here. These are all from our rehabilitation facility. And vitamin E and selenium deficiency creates a lot of muscular dystrophy. And inadequate foraging time and behavioral stress leads to the space and space utilization. And there are multiple innovations available: nutrogenomics and browse banks and fodder plantations, environmental enrichment, evidence-based supplementations. And these are some of the clinical and acute interventions, as you all know, that vaccination, parasitic management, zoonotic surveillance, and neonatal care, trauma response, and emergency stabilization. As I said, anesthesia also needs a lot of nutritional based knowledge. And this is about the clinical outcomes, and we have done a lot of such documented research. And we do have fecal sample. Yes, sir. The fecal scoring method also makes a valuable tool in captive animal nutritional management. And these are some of the enrichments. What we use food material as the enrichment so that we can ensure that their activity is ensured. And these are some of the puzzle feeders that they will be searching their food, and then they will show a lot of activity so that their muscular health is also maintained, and also they will get some adequate micronutrients. And this you can see a bear breaking the coconut. So it's both an activity as well as giving them a food. And these are some of the enrichments that they engage themselves on a day-to-day basis so that the trunk can be used and the trunk muscles can also be used adequately. And we do a lot of mealworm and termite raising units to give them a natural food, and these are activity based feeding for leopards and bears. And geriatric care for both elephants as well as bears. And water is also an essential nutrient, as we all know that we use them for elephant well-being. And hydrotherapy is a good example, not only for internal use, even the water has got a lot of physical properties like buoyancy and flexibility. It improves, and pain management, encourages movements. And this is the hydrotherapy pond. Last two slides, sir. And we give them a jacuzzi, like a high pressure jet pumps, putting water onto the animal body, and it gives a lot of therapeutic value. And we have seen them walking better, and then the pain relief was much addressed, and then their overall well-being got improved. And they enjoy being in the water. So these are challenges, like current challenges, as we all know, that resource shortage, manpower gaps, and regulatory barriers. Yes, sir. The last slide, sir. So bridging science and sustainability is the integrated approach in veterinary leadership and call for action. So I really would like to thank for the opportunity. And conservation is more than protecting species. It is about understanding their needs, healing their wounds, and building a future where wildlife and humanity coexist. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Next, I invite Mr.